I mean, I can still remember some of the zones I was in.
Oh God, yeah.
Oh God, that feeling is incredible. You
Oh
miss
yeah.
you miss the zones because they were so incredible. You were in this whole different world,
Yeah.
and you were with the flow, and you just couldn't be touched.
No.
It's just an incredible feeling. I love zones, and I love superstitions. Baseball is such a superstitious sport. You know,
Mhm.
we interviewed somebody, Chris. I forget which coach it was, and it was like the guy killed it. And that day, the guy had come on to the bus, and he was eating a specific type of cereal, and he was wearing a certain type of clothes. And then the next day, he didn't come on dressed the same, and he didn't have the same cereal. And he says, "Get the F off my bus and go change and go get that same food you were eating yesterday."
That's
So
John Taunt. He's up at Pacific Lutheran
that's
University.
exactly what it is. And I was
Oh,
like, yeah, that's exactly the kind of stuff I want to hear, because it is such a superstitious thing. Like, don't mess with a streak, right? Don't ever mess with a streak.
yeah,
That's weird.
Rob.
I didn't have a lot of crazy superstitions, but I did have a pair of sliding pants that I wore. I mean, holes. They were disgusting. But and I had if I didn't have those on, I knew I wasn't gonna have a good game that day. That was just it. And by the time I wore them all through high school, and then maybe my freshman year at Kenyatta, because after that I actually started to grow and I started to get bigger and stronger, and I wasn't the string bean I was in high school anymore, and I started to get a little thicker, and I had to break down and get a new pair. It didn't affect the way I swung the bat at that point, but yeah, just that was my only weird superstition was my sliding pants, and I was an oatmeal before every game guy.
Right? You have to have that same meal. You have to have
Oh yeah.
football. It's gross. I'll tell you the truth. I won't tell you the grossest of them, but it's gross enough to the fact that, if you're on a winning streak, you don't wash your practice shirt that you wear underneath. You
Yeah,
don't
just
like, it's so disgusting. We had a guy, his shirt was so bad it stood up on its own in the corner.
oh,
And so he would just put water on it so it would get soft before he put it on for practice again. It's just,
Gross.
yeah, that football, they get grosser than that. But I mean, football's gross. We're gross people.
Riley, what were some of yours? I can't remember.
I was never a superstitions person. I actually like aggressively rejected them. Like it other than like my routine as far as hitting, because that was pretty like set in stone. It I never wanted to allow something to psychologically mess me up enough that it would like affect how I play. And I liked the idea of them, but then like, yeah, your breakfast, if you have the same thing for breakfast every morning and there's just by chance you can't have it one time, out the window your day goes. Like I wasn't willing to like give it that power. So I almost like sometimes maybe my superstition was intentionally doing things differently every time because I didn't want to have something established that couldn't be controlled, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
sometimes certain like outside forces, because I wasn't willing to wear a dirty shirt that stood up on its own. Like if I didn't do laundry that day, I wasn't wearing that shirt.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't a big superstitions person.
Nice.
But you know what? At the same time, you said you had an approach to the plate where you would squat down a specific way.
Yeah, and that is like that was pretty set in stone. Like I did my whole it was pretty goofy looking. Like it reminds me of God, it's Juan Soto, his like goofy like step. Not exactly that, but like it's dumb looking and people always laughed at me. Like especially when I went to Belgium, they made fun of me. They were like the first time it happened, they were all like, "What is that?" And I was like, "It's just my thing. I'm sorry you guys, you have to get over it."
And then you hit a ball 450 feet. Okay. How do I do that?
Right.
I did mine was interesting because I always made sure in football you have a box on the sideline that you have to stay within. And so I would go to the far corner box and I would kneel down and I'd actually do a prayer. And then I'd go to the other corner and I'd kneel down and do another prayer. Every single game, I had to do that. I had to have a prayer on each corner of the box that we stay in. And then, that was my little thing that I had to do
Mhm.
every single.
I guess that if that falls under the category of superstitions, then every time I left the clubhouse, I would run out to the dead center field, sit on the warning track, look back towards home plate in the stands and watch the people trickle into the ballpark. And I would start my stretch out there. But I guess if that's a superstition, then I'll have to be honest to say that before every game, I wasn't really, it was kind of just my moment to get locked in of, okay, it's time to compete. It's time to go play. I needed that moment on my own. So I would always just go sit in center field on the warning track, maybe tie my shoes or whatever I was doing, put some tape around my wrist or whatever, take in the ballpark, the beauty just of the yard that day we were playing in. And, watching the people walk in, the kids all excited and all of those things. And then I would join my teammates. But
That's what you did every single time, right? Like that was
every single game. Yeah.
and so there's a superstition to it, but like now in life, and I still have this to today, I'm a salesman now, and I have what I call the superstition. We call it preparation, right? Preparing to go in and do a sale or talk to somebody, go into a house, whatever it is. But I do it the same way every single time. And so is it a superstition of me going in and doing my sale? Yeah, I guess it is. But for you, it was part of your preparation.
Yeah.
But it was the same thing every single time, which is a superstition, right? Like if you get out of that cycle.
Yeah, I didn't think
because mental is how much part of the game, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%.
I mean, you could have the most incredible athlete, freak of nature, all that stuff. And if their mental is not there, they're worthless.
They are.
Mm-hmm.
That's right, Riley. That's a good coaching thing right there.
Well, yeah, and I think it's like a consistency thing too. Like truly, I think our bodies, like it's a muscle memory. Like you're telling your body, like, okay, this is the mood I'm getting into. This is what and it triggers certain nerves in your body, and it's like, all right, it's time to go. I definitely believe in certain physical routines, like physical superstitions. I think I fully embody that.
We had a team one that was really interesting. We at home, we would have our second gym, we would turn all the lights off and we would stretch to the bells of hell's bells. So 15 minutes of the dong, dong for 15 minutes, we would stretch in pure darkness. And then once the 15 minutes was up, it went into In the Air Tonight by Phil Collins. And that was the time to wrap it up, pull it together, come together as a team. And it became such a superstition as a team. It became what we were, that we started to ask schools if we could use their gym to stretch before when we were visiting them. And so we would actually do the same thing at other schools. And believe it or not, they actually let us do that. And that was like our whole little thing where it was almost became like we just became one by doing it. And it wasn't an individual one. And the reason why I bring that up, and I know we're not even in a show right now, but we may do outtakes and add these things later because Chris loves that too, right? But do you have some things that you can't just make it happen, right? It has to become natural with the culture of a team. But do you feel that your teams have some things that become like a team preparation / superstition? Chris, you could jump in that too.
You know what? I never forced a superstition or a routine except for one thing. Always, I would have my players run the polls just to kind of clear their mind, get their mindset going, understand that everything that was outside of the field is outside of the field. You're on the field now. Let's focus what's in between the fence. That was literally it for my ball players.
Well, you, Tony, you got some team, like you just won a state championship. Did that team have some like unity things that always happen?
We're just super talented. But I'll go back to Kenyatta though. My Kenyatta days, kind of something very similar to what Chris is saying is once we got into the dugout and before we started to do anything, we had a 5 clap. Clap, 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 clap. Once that meant was, okay, it's all business now. Everything else outside, everything that's going on around the world, whatever, gone. And then the way we would end the day was with those 5 claps, and everything in between was for your teammates, was for the team. So that was one thing. We would start with 5 claps and end with 5 claps, and in between that time was all team. It was all like business as usual. So the 5 claps at the beginning and at the end was what locked us in and got us prepared to get going.
Yeah. How about you, Riley?
I'd say at CSM we had this thing called waking up the bats, and we'd stack them in that, like, you know, the like when you stack bats by like the end, and it like in a like spiral thing and it goes up. I don't know. We did that, and then we all get in a huddle and like do like a little chant. I don't know. Do you remember that, Chris?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, that was fun. That was cool. We did that before every game.
Coach Borg would give you all these magnificently hard high fives.
Oh yeah, that too. She also did the game day text. Like, she always texted game day, and then we'd all say game day back. And if you didn't say game day back, like if one of the players didn't say it, coach would be on you. She'd be like, "Why didn't you text back, huh? What's with that?" And it was just a whole thing. I'm trying to think of any others. That's all I can think of right now.
But it can be the smallest thing. Like, you know, Coach Gomes just said, like, there's a 5 clap.
Right.
Yeah.
The whole, the game face goes on. And it could be as simple as that. It doesn't have to be a major thing. It's just unique, and it's interesting how you have those in life, and how, like, I've added some of my own to my own life and career today. You know, I still have those things that turn me from just driving my car into I'm walking into a house and I got to go help these people with their doors and windows. And, you know, I could just go in and walk in, but am I prepared that way? No, I'm not the best that they deserve. And so I have my preparations that I can go in there, because I actually have to believe that I'm there for them, not for me. And so I have to prepare as if I'm there to listen. It's their home. But I also got to be on it. I got to be able to listen and then be able to translate that into something that makes a lot of sense. And so maybe it's not athletic. There's also a mental to it. And I just liked going down this road with you guys, because, you know, a lot of sports parallels life. It teaches people life. And I think that's really important. And even discussing these little things about the bats or the 5 clap, or, you know, whatever it is, people do take those things in life, and you'll see success for the people that actually do things like prepare like that to go in and do things. So as coaches, you're also helping these kids continue on after their careers in life, and you don't realize it, that you're teaching them very amazing life skills that they can use to be successful off the field.
Definitely.